This file was recovered after the event concluded. Names were preserved, details were not. They were discovered at dawn, standing beside the wooden trailhead sign where the forest path meets the access road. The sign listed the route name, distance, and elevation change. None of the information appeared disturbed. Snow covered the lower half of the post, but the lettering remained visible. The three individuals were positioned side by side, facing the forest. They were not touching. Their posture suggested rest rather than collapse. All three were barefoot. Their boots were later found inside the tent, neatly arranged near the entrance. Socks were not recovered. No cuts, abrasions, or frost damage were visible on their feet at the time of discovery. The ground temperature measured below freezing for the previous 8 hours. None of them remembered walking back. Their vital signs were stable. Heart rates were within normal range. Body temperatures were consistent with indoor conditions rather than prolonged exposure. Pupils reacted normally to light. There were no visible signs of shock. They did not resist assistance when approached, but they did not speak until prompted. They were facing the forest when discovered. The fourth member of the group was not present. Initial assumptions suggested separation due to disorientation or environmental stress. This explanation was reconsidered after the remaining three gave consistent statements under independent questioning. Each described the same sequence of events using similar language despite being interviewed separately and without contact. The missing individual's backpack was located 2 miles uphill from the trailhead, resting upright against the base of a pine tree. The straps were untangled. The zipper was fully closed. Inside were food supplies, a water bottle, a folded map, and a spare flashlight. All contents were dry. No personal electronics were recovered. No footprints surrounded the backpack. The campsite was located later that morning at the designated clearing near the ridge. The tent remained fully intact. The zipper was closed from the inside. No damage to the fabric was observed. Snow accumulation around the tent suggested no movement since the previous night. No animal tracks were present. Authorities initially suspected hypothermia or exposure-related confusion. This theory was dismissed following medical evaluation. Blood oxygen levels were normal. There was no evidence of dehydration. Toxicology reports were negative. When asked to describe the missing individual, all three survivors hesitated. Each attempted to provide basic identifying features. None succeeded beyond generalities. Height estimates varied. Clothing descriptions conflicted. Facial details could not be recalled. They agreed on one point: they had not returned alone. They stated that someone had been walking with them on the descent, not ahead, not beside, slightly behind, always close enough to hear, never close enough to see. They could not describe his face. The hike began the previous afternoon at 14:12 hours. Weather conditions were stable. The sky was overcast but bright. Wind levels were minimal. Visibility extended beyond the tree line. No advisories were active for the area. The group consisted of 4 friends in their mid-20s. All had previous hiking experience. 2 had completed this route before. The trail was considered moderate and commonly used. No navigation errors were anticipated. No alcohol or recreational substances were consumed before or during the hike. No arguments were reported. The group's messages prior to departure suggested anticipation rather than concern. The trip was intended as an overnight excursion with a planned return the following morning. At approximately 1640 hours, ambient sound levels decreased. This observation was not initially noted as unusual. Forest environments often vary in noise. However, all 3 survivors later mentioned the same moment when bird calls ceased. Wind movement through branches was no longer audible. Snowfall did not increase. The change occurred abruptly. One member commented that the forest felt crowded. This remark was recorded as casual and was reportedly followed by laughter. No one asked for clarification. The group continued walking without stopping. Shortly after, footsteps were heard behind them. The sound was consistent with boots on packed snow. The pace matched their own. The spacing suggested a single individual rather than a group. The survivors assumed another hiker was following the trail. No attempt was made to acknowledge the presence. No voices were heard in response. They did not turn around. When later asked why, none could provide a reason. They did not recall deciding not to look. The absence of reaction was described as automatic. Photographs taken during this portion of the hike were later reviewed. Several images showed elongated shadows cast across the trail. Only 3 light sources were visible. In 2 images, a 4th shadow appeared briefly between the others. No corresponding subject could be identified. At 17:30 hours, the group reached the designated campsite. Snow cover was undisturbed. No prior use was evident. The area was partially sheltered by trees, with clear visibility towards the valley. The temperature dropped rapidly after sunset. No snowfall was recorded during this period. Cloud cover remained unchanged. The group began setting up the tent without comment. The 4th member volunteered to check the perimeter and gather additional firewood. This task assignment matched previous trips. He was last seen walking into the tree line with a flashlight. The beam was visible intermittently through the branches. The remaining 3 entered the tent to prepare equipment. No concern was expressed at the time. At approximately 16:89 hours, the flashlight beam was seen again between the trees. It remained stationary for several seconds. No voice accompanied it. The light then disappeared. At 19:10 hours, movement was detected outside the tent. The sound was slow and deliberate. It did not resemble running or stumbling. The rhythm was consistent. The movement did not approach the tent directly. It circled at a fixed distance. No zipper sound followed. No pressure was applied to the tent walls. The fabric did not shift. The sound maintained its path. A camera recovered later contained thermal footage from this period. The footage showed a human-shaped cold region standing beside the tent. The outline was upright. Proportions matched an adult male. The region registered significantly colder than the surrounding environment. The shape remained for 17 minutes. No heat signature was detected. During this time, the group remained silent. Breathing patterns slowed. No attempt was made to exit the tent. No one used a flashlight. Later statements described a shared understanding that movement would draw attention. One member reported the sensation of being counted. This description appeared independently in all 3 statements. It was not suggested during questioning. At 19:29 hours, the movement stopped. No departure sound was recorded. The surrounding forest remained silent. The group stayed inside the tent until dawn. At first light, the zipper was opened from the inside. Footprints were visible in the snow around the campsite. There were 4 sets. 3 sets led downhill towards the trailhead. 1 set led deeper into the forest. The spacing between the 4 sets was consistent. Stride length matched human gait. The depth of each print was uniform, suggesting equal weight distribution. The 4th set did not show signs of hesitation or struggle. It did not intersect with the others after separation. No return tracks were found. The walk back was described quiet. The survivors did not feel cold. They did not feel fatigued. They did not speak to each other during the descent. They reported hearing boots behind them, always 1 step late, always matching their pace. They did not turn around. As they reached the trailhead, the sound stopped. All 3 reported knowing without visual confirmation that they were no longer 4. They stood beside the sign until discovered. No official record explains what followed. The area remains accessible. The file is closed.